What I want to lay out here is our premise as to why we think we can reverse the aging process in human beings today. We know more about the mechanisms involved in human aging than what scientists did when they discovered a way to eradicate smallpox. What we're going to do is take young, healthy 21-year-olds, we're going to mobilize their stem cells and then remove those stem cells from their body, separate them into stem cell enriched plasma components, and inject not the stem cells, but the plasma enriched components that surrounded the stem cells into older individuals. Those paracrine factors, as they're called, we believe will induce meaningful rejuvenation in younger individuals. This one study, published way back in 1972, suggested that in humans, that if parabiosis were to be able to duplicate it the same way it's done in the animal setting, that human beings could live an extra 10 to 12 years. And that's very significant. That's just one study, though, and many others have appeared since then. Nature has done an extensive review of the literature, and then they've written this article again in 2015 showing heart, brain, muscle being rejuvenated in response to parabiosis. Well, guess what? There's an upsurge right now. Parabiosis research has taken us by surprise, and it's also taken the scientific community by surprise. An unprecedented consistency in the peer-reviewed scientific literature that parabiosis may be a way to reverse aging in elderly humans. 5 million Americans right now suffer from congestive heart failure. It will likely be their cause of death. That young blood regenerates the heart muscle of the older animal. It also regenerates hematopoietic cells in the bone marrow. These animals become systemically younger in response to the young blood. We absolutely know for certain that young blood will rejuvenate old animals. Dozens of studies validate that. Old blood, when put into young animals, by the way, accelerates their aging process. So we know we need to do something to the blood of older people if we are to induce meaningful and systemic reversal of their aging processes. There is an urgent need to initiate the age reversal parabiosis study. Right now in this country, every single day, 6,000 people perish, mostly from age-related diseases. We think we can reverse that. That's why this study has such a degree of urgency. If there's even modest success with the human parabiosis study that we're going to propose, Medicare can be spared from insolvency. That's because people won't get sick anymore. They won't get sick at the rate they're getting anyway. They'll be healthy like younger people, so Medicare will have lots of money because it won't cost so much. And decades of healthy life could be added to human longevity, starting right now. Scientists consistently show that young blood reverses both the structural and functional deficits that occur with aging in old animals. You put young blood into an older animal and their brain goes into reverse as far as aging. Sarcopenia, loss of muscle mass. This is what causes people to become so frail as they grow older, in addition to loss of cognitive function. Parabiosis research shows that young blood reverses the loss of muscle mass, and we know some of the mechanisms of how it does it. This is what makes it so exciting. Stroke, it's a major cause of disability and death in older people. Well, if you put young blood into old animals, you restore youthful cerebral vasculature. In other words, the blood vessels of older animals become younger. We're literally rejuvenating old blood vessels, making them behave and function younger so that blood flows through. One study showed that blood flow through the brains of older animals doubled in response to younger blood circulating in their bodies. These are game-changing breakthroughs, and we're about to launch it in the human clinical setting. We have an idea about one protein called GDF11. It stands for Growth Differentiating Factor 11. It's abundant in young blood, but when we grow older, unfortunately, it starts to diminish to a point where we don't have any anymore. It causes stem cells in animals to turn back on. We think it will do the same thing in elderly humans. Harvard has been doing extensive research on GDF11. The Harvard Gazette in 2014 published an interesting article talking about how much rejuvenation they were observing in older animals. When they gave GDF-11 to the older animals, the animals became younger across the board. The brain, skeletal muscle, across the board, they were finding these animals were both structurally and functionally younger. This is what gives us so much incentive to say we need to start doing this in human beings. The clinical study that we propose will recruit young, healthy donors. We're going to harvest the stem cells from these healthy young donors, and we're going to harvest a lot of other young blood components from these healthy young donors. We're going to develop this pro-youth serum that will not consist of the stem cells, by the way. We're going to cryopreserve those stem cells for possible potential use in the elderly people, but more importantly, those stem cells could literally save the lives of the younger individuals who could develop leukemia, other forms of cancer, where they will need a healthy immune system to be put back into them. So there's a benefit that the young donors get by participating in this study. Not only will they be compensated, but they're going to have their young stem cells and young immune cells cryopreserved for their own future use as they grow older. For the older individuals, however, we're going to separate those stem cells, and we're going to take the paracrine factors that those stem cells were secreting and create what we hope will be a pro-youth serum that will be infused into the elderly individuals once a month to see what type of age reversal effects we can induce. This study will be conducted at the South Florida Bone Marrow Stem Cell Institute in Boynton Beach, Florida. This study cannot be done cheaply. It involves incredible resources. We need about $10 million over a 3-year period. Life Extension is putting up the initial $1 million. We need additional resources, though, to keep this study going. We need $9 more million. Now, we've already contributed, Life Extension, $800,000 to a cancer research initiative where we're using the same technology. That technology is taking young donors, we're mobilizing their immune systems, and then we're harvesting their immune systems and transfusing those into end-stage cancer patients. We're seeing evidence of clinical response. Even in people who have undergone massive rounds of chemo and have only several months to live, we're seeing a result that gives us a lot of confidence that taking people who are not end-stage cancer patients and giving them even a broader array of pro-youth factors from stem cell mobilized young bone marrow donors is going to produce the age reversal benefits that we're seeking. Smallpox killed millions of people for 3,000 years. No one ever thought it would go away. Look at your history books. Just type smallpox onto Google and see how many pessimists were out there thinking that smallpox would be a pandemic killer that would never be eradicated. And yet, in 1840, England adopted universal vaccination. They eradicated the smallpox virus and that horrible disease that it caused from England in 1840. Just to say it again, just to reiterate this frightening statistic. Every day in the United States, 6,000 Americans are dying, primarily from pathologies related to the aging process. If we can eradicate aging, we will save 5,000 to 6,000 American lives every single day. We're looking at virtually every aspect of degenerative disease and trying to figure out a way to circumvent it, to enable people not to have to face the certainty of aging and premature death the way they have to do today. But Life Extension can't fund it all. We don't have the resources to fund this entire study. We need those people who have the resources to contribute towards it. We're going to discuss the ways to contribute in future presentations. The purpose of this presentation was to let our members, our supporters know that we are working every single day, not just on this project, but on other parabiosis projects that we are funding internally that are seeking to induce the reversal of aging in elderly human beings. We're seeking to make older people much younger, both structurally and functionally. None of us can afford to wait. For the first time in medical history, we can talk about a scientific experiment where we will seek to induce meaningful and systemic reversal of pathological aging processes in elderly human beings. A lot of people first ask, who is the Life Extension Foundation? Well, we happen to be the world's largest anti-aging organization. We were the first to introduce DHEA, a hormone that declines with normal aging that when it's replaced helps to slow down the aging processes in maturing people. We were the first to introduce aspirin as a way to prevent a heart attack. We were the first to introduce coenzyme Q10 in order to prevent heart failure, Deprenyl to slow brain aging, and melatonin to improve immune function. Aging, unfortunately, creates major problems with our genetic architecture. Cancer interferes with healthy gene expression. Genes that suppress cellular proliferation are wiped out by aging, whereas genes that sometimes are not supposed to manifest will occur in aging people and cause them cancer. So a very simple way to reduce a risk of cancer is to reverse the aging process. Now, the staff at Life Extension did not want me to show this slide, and I'm just doing it anyway. I'm just going to show you anyway because if we fail, if we don't initiate human clinical research aimed at reversing pathological aging processes, we're going to be doomed to perpetual confinement in a place that most of us have a hard time even thinking about. We want to be in a state of denial and pretend that this fate does not await us, but it does. Please continue to view our videos and our publications. We're not going to stop until we raise the funding to see this and other parabiosis-related research accelerated. Thank you.